Guys, in this video, we're going to talk about this most amazing time that we're in right now. I know many of you've probably seen my video. The Great Tribulation starts September 22nd, 2017. Guys, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about as well the sixth seal, the seventh seal, and the first trumpet. And the way I thought I would do this is let's just go through the scriptures. I have another video where we talked about the seals are fulfilled. And now at this time, I'm with utmost confidence to share with you that, yes, this is the case, except for one thing. Now, what we have here is Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, there was a great earthquake. All right, first thing we want to do, guys, is talk about the great earthquake. All right, here we're talking about Revelation chapter 6 and the sixth seal. And it says, when the sixth seal was open, or at the time that the sixth seal was open, there's a great earthquake. Now, you'll see this word great, which is in the Greek mega, and an earthquake is, I believe, like seismos, like seismic. It appears in Luke 21, verse 11, and it says that there would be earthquakes, great earthquakes in diverse places. So there in Luke 21, it's talking about the time period we're talking about here, the seals, because there's famines and pestilence and earthquakes, okay? But it says there'll be there are many great earthquakes in diverse places, okay? Now, guys, the way we would use great earthquake in our modern language is we record the magnitude of earthquakes on a Richter scale, as you know. And a great earthquake would be something in the 8.0 or greater. Okay, so an 8.0 or more is a great earthquake. Now, a great earthquake does not happen that often. Typically, you'll only have an 8.0 or greater once, maybe twice a year. So what I'm getting at, I'm giving you all this backdrop because the great earthquake, I'm going to suggest to you, is the great earthquake in Mexico. Now, great earthquake as well, guys, is not just one event. What we saw in Mexico is there was an 8.4 earthquake. Now, that's the only earthquake that we've seen in a year, 8.0 magnitude. And it happened right in the window of time, right after the solar eclipse. I believe, I could be wrong on this date, but I believe it's September 6th when the 8.4 hit off the ocean in Mexico. Then what happened is it triggers, so then you have one earthquake, then it triggers a 7.0 earthquake in Mexico City, and then there was an aftershock of a 6.0. Now that shifted the whole plate there, and if you look up and you do a search, you'll see photos of the earth shifting, and the earth goes up higher in one location and another, and it shifts. You can actually see man-made lines, and those man-made lines like shift. So I mean, that's a great earthquake, okay? And the reason we consider it the great earthquake is because it's falling in all these other things that fulfilled. And the sun became sackcloth as hair. Now there's been many solar eclipses, but the American solar eclipse, August 21st, that happened in that period. Then, within a few weeks, we have the great earthquake. Then, within a few weeks, we have the moon turning to blood over America. The western fires in America caused the moon to turn to blood. So, yes, there are lunar eclipses, but again, these are all things that happen within a few weeks. And then it says the stars fell from heaven onto the earth as a fig tree. Now, this as well, we're telling you, is there's been meteors, but we're seeing meteors hit the earth, and we're seeing meteors hit the earth at the time of the California fires. This is why this is so significant. So again, all this happening, this more recently, but all of this happening within a few weeks. Okay, and as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she's shaken with a mighty wind, and heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. Okay, I just want to mention this briefly. You'll see later in the video, guys, we'll get into this chart here. I'm going to do my best to get this scanned. I don't have a good camera anymore, but anyway, I'm going to try and get this to you, and it's a fantastic study on the sixth seal. Basically what it does is we're going to do a little bit here, Matthew 24, Revelation 6 and 7, but also Exodus 19, Psalms, Nahum, and Joel 2. Now in Joel 2, you may be familiar, it says, in the last days God will pour out his Spirit upon all flesh. That's what I actually believe heaven is removed as a scroll. I believe that's what that means, is that's like an open heaven, okay? And that's when he would pour out his Spirit, and you would dream dreams, and you see visions and prophesy, okay? That's what we see in Joel 2 as it's describing this day, this time that we're in, the sixth seal, okay? And guys, I want to just say something as well. On my channel, I don't talk a lot about my own personal dreams and visions. I have a lot of them, almost all of them relate to the things I'm telling you. But the first one I had, I was about 8 years old, and I saw the apocalypse. I didn't even understand what was going on because I didn't even know what a vision was. But I'm sitting in a bedroom at my grandparents' house, and I'm in a room without a TV. And I'm watching TV. It wasn't an actual TV, but I'm watching something. And it was this apocalyptic place. And it was just a war zone. And the people were like zombies. And it was awful. And I'm just walking through this and I don't really understand what's going on. But then I get up, I go into the other room where my grandparents have a TV. And I'm looking at the TV like, why? I just was watching TV, but there's no TV. I couldn't understand this, But anyway, to me it was like a cartoon, but it was these visions, these things I was seeing. And guys, that's exactly what I feel like right now. I feel like I'm in those times where the darkness and the things that I don't know about you, but for me, I'm in the Great Tribulation, man. It's just crazy, man. That's all I can say on that. Like I say, sometimes I will share, dreams and visions with you. I just wanted to share you my first one because it happened when I was 8 years old. That was 1978. Okay. So anyway, as we keep going here, and the kings of the earth and the great men and rich men and chief captains and mighty men, bondmen and free men hid themselves in the dens and the rocks, and said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us. Okay, now this is important. This is very important because they're saying to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. So they're seeing the face of him that sits on the throne. Okay, in Revelation 1 verse 9, or is it another verse? And verse 7, behold, he comes in the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they which also pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. So that's what this is describing. They see the face of him that sits on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. It's the Lamb that they're seeing. It's the Lord that they're seeing. The Lord is coming in his glory. For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Okay, so this obviously has not happened. Now, this is the event that no man knows the day or the hour. But what I'm going to get at is this is the one thing that has not happened. Everything else in the six seals, in the seals, has happened, has been fulfilled, except for this one thing. Now, we're going to come back here and continue, because the sixth seal is not over. It continues into chapter 7. But what we want to do is, as we always do here, guys, is we're going to look at the parallels with what the Lord said in Matthew 24. Because Matthew 24, you see the same thing immediately after the tribulation of those days. And I'm telling you, man, we're in those days. The sun shall be darkened. That's what we saw. The moon shall not give her light. We saw a different light, The stars fell from heaven. Now, this is, again, what we're seeing. We're seeing these meteors come to the earth. We have reports of this in California. Some of these may have started the fires, guys. and the powers of the heavens are shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. This is exactly what we just read. The kings will, they're hiding from us from the face of him that sits upon the throne and the wrath of the Lamb. Here it is, appearing, the sign, the Son of Man of heaven, and all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So you'll see. Whether you make it or not, you'll see. You'll know. Even the wicked will know. They will see. Okay? And he shall send his angels with a great voice. It's up here. Let's see if we can get that in the screen. Not so much. All right, so I'll just read it. The sound of the trumpet. Now let me adjust it here, because I want you to see this. The sound of the trumpet. Now, this is, in the Greek, this is actually voice, phone of the trumpet. Okay, that's an important distinction. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to another. Let me read that again. And they shall, who's they? The angels, shall gather together his elect from the four winds. All right? Now, let's remember that, and we're going to actually come back to it. But here we see, again, the identical thing in Revelation 7. And I saw another angel standing with each, having the seal of living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels who was given to hurt the earth, hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. Okay? So again, we have four angels standing in the four corners of the earth holding the four winds. And that's exactly what we saw here. Therefore, the elect is gathered together from the four winds, from one end of heaven to another. So here are these angels with the four winds, that the wind should not blow on the earth nor the sea nor any tree. Okay? So what this means, guys, is when the Son of Man comes in the clouds, he's going to gather the elect. That's the same thing as the sealing of the servants on their forehead. That's the same exact thing. You cannot confuse this and come up with some other doctrine. It's not. It's the same exact thing. We have the Lamb. We have his throne. The people are hiding. We have the sign of the Son of Man. He has angels of the four winds gathering the elect, okay? So I don't know how to make that any more clear to you, but the 144,000 here are the elect, okay? I've been going through the same thing over, but you guys still talk rapture this, rapture that. Unfortunately, most are not going to make this. It's a small number, all right? So, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going to tell you the truth. So, but here we clearly see this four winds. Now, guys, this is the time that we're in. So, these angels are scheduled to blow on the earth, okay? On the trees, okay? They're scheduled to issue judgments, all right? They're scheduled to do it, but they're saying, wait. The reason they're saying wait is because they can't blow until the sealing takes place. The sealing takes place the same time the Son of Man appears in the clouds, which no man knows the day or the hour. So this can't happen until the Son of Man appears in the clouds. Okay? I hope you understand that. I don't know how to make that any more clear, but let's move on. So we have again, the sign of the Son of Man is this gathering of the elect, is the same thing as the sealing of the servants of God in their foreheads. Okay, now when we get into Revelation 8, let's read the beginning part here. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for the space of half an hour. Okay, and I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given the seven trumpets. Okay, so here, it's very important you understand the order of the angels, guys. So there's an order of four, okay? So what they're saying is there's four angels with the four winds, okay? Also in Revelation chapter 6, it talks about the four angels, the four archangels, and they're riding on the horses, okay? So that's four. So the four seals are four, okay? What this is telling us is that these angels with the four winds relate to the next four, and those are the trumpets. And the reason being is the trumpets, you have 4, and there's a distinction of the first 4 trumpets, okay? I'm not going to read them here, but I just want you to know that chapter 9 is the 5th trumpet, and that's the harlot's army, okay? And later, it talks about the 6th trumpet. The 6th trumpet is the Lord's army, okay? And the 7th trumpet is the mystery of the 7th trumpet and the last trump, when the army is gathered, okay? But what I'm getting at, he's saying, the schedule is made, okay? The Day of Atonement is set. That we have the woman clothed with the sun. All these things are scheduled, but don't blow the winds until the servants of God are sealed on their foreheads. We have to wait until the sign of the Son of Man, okay? I hope that makes sense to you. But as well, this is why it's so important. These things I'm telling you, the things that we're watching for, okay, is because the angel continues with the procedure on the Day of Atonement in Revelation 8, okay, and then it says, verse 5, and the angel takes a censer and fills it with fire from the altar and casts it to the earth, and there were voices, thunders, and lightnings, and an earthquake, okay? So now, just before the trumpets blow, we have this casting of the fire, okay, and cast it to the earth, okay? Now the first trumpet, and then the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. This is right when they're about to blow. And the first angel sounded, and there were hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were cast to the earth, and a third part of the trees were burnt up, and all the grass was burnt up. Guys, what I'm getting at is these meteors in California are so significant. They're the beginning of the first trumpet. Okay, I'm not saying that it's actually, they're preparing themselves to sound, but we're getting a taste, we're getting an inkling of what it's going to look like. All right, this is what's going to happen. Okay, but again, the fullness of those trumpets, the fullness of the judgments of those 4 angels at the 4 winds, because remember what they do. There's 4 angels in the 4 corners of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, the sea, or any tree. And then we also see that within the first trumpets. They were followed mixed with blood, and they cast to the earth and the trees, okay? And the second angel, great mount cast into the sea. So there we have it, the earth, the sea, and the trees, okay? So that's what I'm saying. These winds blowing relate to the beginning trumpets, okay? But they're happening. They're on the schedule, okay? Their schedule, it's supposed to happen. But wait! We have to wait before we seal the servants of God in the forehead. No man knows the day or the hour the Son of Man will appear in the clouds, okay? So that's where we are, guys. And I also do encourage you to get this. I apologize if the light isn't that great. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I don't have the time. But what I've done is there's essentially 7 places. We just went through Matthew and Revelation, but also Exodus, Psalm 97, Psalm 18, Nahum 1, and Joel 2. All of these describe the 6th seal. And there are 17 characteristics of the 6th seal. The solar eclipse, the blood moons, the powers of the heavens be shaken, the stars fall, the seal or gather the elect, the 4 angels of the 4 winds, the people mourn, they will see him. The fig tree, the lightning, there's thick clouds, the voice of the trumpet, the earthquake, the hail, the heavens stretched, the flood, and the fire. All of this has happened. The floods that we were seeing, the hurricanes, are the floods. The great earthquake, it's Mexico. And there's other things that earthquake is going to do, guys. It's already, affected other things. So it may not be over. But what I'm saying is there's only one great earthquake, maybe 2 a year. There could be another one, but I'm saying we should not be waiting for it because all of these have happened. And many of these have happened just in the last few weeks, maybe 2 months. All of this has happened. The thing that has not happened is they will see him, okay? And that's a sign of the Son of Man. All of these describe that, okay? So guys, this is consistent with what we've been telling you. We've been telling you, blessed is he that waits for 1,335 days. That's another 2 months and 15 days after the Feast of Trumpets, okay? So I'm just saying we're in that season. We're watching, all these things are happening, and the things that we're seeing are very, very significant, okay? So guys, again, I will do my best. I encourage you, those that study, this is a fascinating study, all these things, the sixth seal. I have a huge playlist, but I know you guys are lazy and you won't go back and watch the videos. So I'm trying to give you as much information as I can so that you can study, you can watch, and that your eyes will be open, okay? So guys, thanks for watching the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call this the seventh seal, but really what I'm trying to go over here is the sixth seal, seventh seal, and first trumpet. We're seeing the characteristics of all these things happen right now, okay? So it's such an amazing time. The time is so short. So as I always say, watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape these things and stand before the Son of Man. Amen.